What made this year's local government elections the most fiercely contested ever? And why has the ANC performed poorly in some of the country's key metros? What is the significance of the 50% plus one majority at municipal level? And why has Treasury set up a panel to provide municipalities with financial management systems? What time is it? It's question time. Welcome to the show. My name is Mpho, Tsedu. Last week's much anticipated local government elections are officially over, and the most important role players, the voters, have spoken. It is now a race against time for the incoming municipal leadership across the country to start delivering the much needed services. The Democratic Alliance continued to make significant inroads into the ANC's strongholds. From humble beginnings, the EFF has become the go-to political party, with both the ANC and the DA likely to engage into coalition talks with the so-called Red Berets, albeit with some conditions. It is the ANC, though, that has emerged negatively affected after failing to secure an outright majority in all of Gauteng's 3 metros, hence the need to engage other parties. The ANC managed to garner at least 53.91% of the national vote, a decrease from the 61.95% secured in 2011. Meanwhile, municipal councils have 14 days within which they should sit and elect speakers, with a 50% plus one majority required in terms of the Municipal Systems Act. We are live, and therefore you can call us and air your views. Numbers to dial 089-110-4210. Our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. My guest today, Xolile George. He is the Chief Executive Officer at the South African Local Government Association. That's SALGA, and joining us from our Tshwane studio, Dr. Somadoda Figeni is a political analyst. And gentlemen, let me welcome you to the show. Dr. Figeni, perhaps let me just start with you. I know you are probably very tired. You've been on these elections ever since they started. As we round it up, though, what do you think accounts for the ANC's decline in Gauteng?
In the first instance, the ANC seemed to have been less organized in a sense of focusing on local issues and also selecting their leaders in good time without contestations. But also ANC seemed to have focused more on its internal factional battles, both locally and nationally. And they spend a disproportionate amount of time trying to defend President Jacob Zuma as he was limping from one crisis to the next. Go back to December when Nhlanhla Nene was unexpectedly fired. Go to January when the issue of the state capture was mentioned. Go to the SABC debacle. And you go to the selection of the mayoral candidate in Tshwane, disagreements over Fransman and all kinds of contradictions. All those seem to have actually worked against the ANC. The notion of corruption that is perceived to be growing within the ANC, with a higher degree of tolerance for that and impacting on services and many other things, billing crises and the buying of smart meters in Tshwane, all those hogged the headlines in the urban metros where people are already feeling the squeeze in terms of economy, in terms of what they have to pay out of their pocket. And all those taken together with the ANC's very tired message, ANC's notion that let's work together. In the past, the message looked more or less the same, and they were leaning towards the liberation struggle credentials instead of bringing a fresh perspective and a fresh message. Because for the new people now, as the last point, the young people, if you keep telling them about your liberation heritage as such without relating to their current issues. You talk of the fact that you were in Zambia. They don't immediately associate you being in Zambia with exile. They think you had gone to Victoria Falls. If you say I was in Robben Island, they will ask if you took a morning or afternoon boat to get to the island. So to them, they want answers for the challenges which are existing now.
Would you say, though, that the electorate is maturing to vote on issues as opposed to, sentiment?
To some degree, yes, but not entirely really, because most of the people who left the ANC and stayed at home in big numbers. Hence, you have ANC winning words, but not winning the PR system, which means the turnout was rather low on its own base. People are still very loyal to the brand. They are still very loyal to the ANC, but their level of desperation and disappointment is palpable. They feel frustrated. They feel like the leaders are not listening to them. There's such a social distance. So the sentiment, the attachment, and even recognition of some of the ANC's deliveries, because we shouldn't discount the fact that some of the infrastructure, some of the things have been delivered by the ANC, but the level of corruption, the infighting, the obsession with the protection of the president when he limps from one crisis to the other has just become too much for the ANC's own loyalists.
Let me come to you now. Councillors are there now. Where does SALGA come in?
Well, Mpho, IEC handed over the baton to us, I would say, immediately after Saturday evening. Now, what that means is that SALGA needs to start preparing the new crop of councillors that is coming up to join municipalities. As you would know, there will be new councillors who have never set foot in government in general, let alone local government. So we need to take them through the paces to orientate them in terms of what it means to be a councillor, what it means to run a municipality, and what it means to navigate the interface between citizens, which you are representing in a council, and how to maintain regular interface with those citizens to make sure that public participation issues are well managed. So SALGA's role will be to make sure that this 14-day period that is prescribed in the legislation for local municipalities and metropolitan municipalities, they have to ensure that at least the first council meetings are convened, and in those first council meetings elect the office bearers, meaning the speaker, the mayor, and so on.
Okay.
So that's the key task that is critical for the next coming 14 days.
Now, that's something that I must ask, and fortunately you are on question time. We ask even those questions which people think are not necessary. Councillors get paid, right? How much do they get paid?
Councillors get paid in accordance with a set regulation, which is done by a body established by the president. It is called the Independent Remuneration of Public Office Bearers Commission. It is chaired by a judge. There's many other luminaries that serve in that structure. It determines salaries, conditions of service for all public office bearers, whether you serve as a councillor locally, provincially as an MPL or premier, or nationally as an MP and a president. So councillors' salaries, conditions of service are determined in accordance with the provisions as managed by that commission.
Okay, well, that's a very good academic answer.
It is a specific legal answer, it's not an academic answer.
But you're not giving me the figures. I want the money.
They are paid in accordance with a criteria that says in metropolitan municipalities, this is the size of the budget, these are the number of voters you represent, this is the economic development of that area. In a district, this is the size, and so on, up to a local. So a mayor who serves in a metro may not be paid the same as the district or as the local.
Now, let's get a hypothetical scenario here. How much would I get paid if I were a ward councillor in Johannesburg?
If you're a ward councillor in Johannesburg, on average, you will be paid something like 485,000, inclusive of all your benefits. If you are a mayor, maybe 1.3 million now, equivalent to a chief whip in parliament.
Okay.
And MMC, which is a member of the local cabinet.
Yes.
That person may be paid something like 900,000, which is equivalent to an MP in parliament.
Okay.
And so on.
Okay.
So it is prescribed. Councillors don't pay themselves. A municipal council doesn't set its salaries. It is a commission that is provided for in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa.
Paul, you are in Mpumalanga. Paul? Okay, Paul is gone. A reminder that you can call us and air your views on the numbers that will be on your screen right now. And right now we're going to take a quick break, and when we return we'll be taking those calls. Perhaps give us a call and tell us what you thought of this elections, the outcomes, and indeed the reason why I was asking how much councillors get paid is because, as you would remember, people died, they got killed. Whether is it because of these monies that are paid, or perhaps there are other reasons. But we'll take your calls soon after the break. Please don't go away.
Do you need a funeral policy?
Joy is found in the little things.
Ke ho phedisa, ho fepa le ho hodisa.
Ukuba ibone ukuvela kwethuba lalokho okungenzeka.
And being there when one journey ends and another begins.
'n Idee van die klein dingetjies wat kosbare herinneringe word. Life is the gift of growing new memories each day.
So that our loved ones can preserve them after we are no longer here.
Life is a gift to us.
Since 1918, AVBOB has comforted and supported South African families in their time of need.
Protecting their loved ones' memories with respect and dignity.
Plus, committed and trusted funeral representatives
With more than 250 branches nationwide.
There for you every hour of every day.
AVBOB provides a complete funeral service solution for everyone, even if you're not an AVBOB policyholder. Make sure your family comes first. Always. AVBOB, we're here for you.
If you would like AVBOB to call you about a new policy, SMS family and your name to 41790.
It's Macro's 45th Big Birthday Bash, and our gift to you is big savings. Get 10 litres Dulux Luxurious Silk White Paint for only $4.99, save R500, or the Campmaster Cabin 900 tent plus side panels now only $2,999, save R1,200, and save R40 on Ultra Image A4 office paper, now only $189. Get these and many other great deals in store and online with Macro's Big Birthday Bash. Macro, big on life.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today, Xolile George, is the CEO at SALGA, and Dr. Somadoda Figeni is our analyst joining us from our Tshwane studios. Anthony, you are in Pretoria? Oh, okay. Anthony, I don't think Anthony is still there. But we are taking your calls. We really would like to hear from you as our viewers. What did you think of the elections? And, what are your impressions? What do you expect from the men and women who are going to be taking the oath of office in a few days to come? The numbers to dial is 0891104210. Our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. Dr. Figeni, let me just come back to you there. The expectations of the people, would you say really they are based on these manifestos that we as the media were bothering people so much about?
Necessarily, I do think that the overall credibility of a political party and its narrative of what it has done and what it promised to do and its track record is the one that speaks more volumes, because manifestos start looking the same, more or less. And over the years, writing manifestos, reading manifestos, you start seeing more or less the same story being told. So the credibility of a party, when it says, I will deliver A, B, C, D, E, what is its track record? How credible, how trustworthy are the leaders to do just that? And also the fed-up factor, to say some people are just not happy with certain things to the incumbent parties. Then they will start looking for the other homes without even necessarily saying we're scrutinizing 7 or 9 manifestos before us.
Vessel, you are in Kwakwa.
Hello, how are you, Ndare? Rapila Papa man. Give vessels Tsedu Morin.
Daddy.
From Kwakwa, ne?
Yeah,
no, elections were good, Ndare. Not to, the procedure was followed right and stuff like that, but now, I don't want to be biased, which side or whatsoever, ne? But now, give us a reason something, especially about people who are living in Kwakwa.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Kwakwa is a very, very poor area, ne? But people keep on voting for parties that they don't change their life, like ANC. You start complaining about this party will do that and that, but now they keep on voting for party that doesn't change them. We understand that there is a serious crisis here about people that are unemployed in this area, but the very same people, they look like they are happy to vote for the same party. So election is very good, but now you find it's a serious crisis because people, they got their own voices to remain the way they are. There is a problem, water and electricity more to us.
Yes.
The very same people, they vote for the very same party that doesn't provide them water and electricity. There are a lot of jojos around Mona, around Mona, saying up and down. And the Kwakwa area is lowering, in a source, media supply to Bojo, the area.
Okay.
The very same people, if they need to raise their voice and say, we don't want you government to push out the very same crisis and stuff like that. They want to vote for the very same government they and the 50% and stuff like that.
Vessel?
So that's the challenge that we have in this country.
Thank you very much for the call, Vessel. Thank you so much for that call. Perhaps moving over from what Vessel has just raised, let's talk about the financial management at local government. How much training are you providing to this incoming crop of leaders?
There's quite a lot of training that is provided, and it is provided in different intervals of the life cycle of a councillor. A councillor is elected for 5 years, and the first program that we run as SALGA is called as Integrated Councillor Induction Program.
Okay.
There we talk about the whole provisions of legislation starting with the Constitution, and then you go to specific legislation that are prevalent in running the governance affairs of a municipality. One of those is called Municipal Finance Management Act.
Yes.
There's also a Municipal Structures Act, Systems Act. Those are legal instruments that day to day every councillor needs to be on top of. The finance one in particular is very important because when you pass budgets that are linked to what we call IDPs, Integrated Development Plan. So it's very important that councillors, immediately they are oriented, they will be able to start a program of consultation with citizens. So if you were elected, Mpho, as ward councillor for Ward 34, now it's your time to go back to that ward during the IDP process and consult citizens. What are the specific priorities for this ward? And then you come back to council. So you need to be aware of the financial management portion on 2 grounds: the fiscal policies that apply in the country, the budget realistically that needs to be planned for, the tariffs that must be charged for services, and the specific allocations that each council may decide to allocate for development in those wards. So financial management training is very, very important to make sure that your decision making is sound.
Mogolo, you are in Bilabila.
Yes, thank you, Mpho. I want to raise 2 issues. The first one is The ANC, I believe that it lost the chunk of its votes because of the arrogance that is displayed by the leadership of the ANC itself up to the NEC. We have our biggest problem, which is the president of the ANC who has breached the constitution and is protected to remain there. So the ANC lost votes because it disregards their own rule that it brought in the name of democracy.
Okay.
The second thing that I want to raise is I come from a municipality named Moretele in Northwest.
Yes.
It has no source of income, no job creation, nothing, no revenue created. So it depends basically on government grants.
Yes.
And now what I need to understand is, since that grant comes and firstly goes to satisfy the salaries of the councillors, how is that municipality supposed to sustain itself and deliver services as well to the people?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, let me clarify two issues. Firstly, indeed, there are many municipalities in South Africa. Out of 278 municipalities that we had prior to 3 August last week, there is about 76 municipalities in South Africa that more or less 90% rely largely on what we call transfers, equitable share transfers. That is the transfer that national, provincial and local is entitled to. So if that municipality cannot get that grant because of the structural limitations, meaning lack of economic opportunities in that area and therefore absence of a revenue base, those municipalities rely largely on national transfers. There are those, there's about 78. There's a program to work on what we call assessment of viability of municipalities to make sure that there must be other means to grow the economic cake in that particular region or municipal space to grow the economy. But I must dispel one myth that sometimes exists. The grants that come from national government, equitable share transfers, those transfers are not necessarily about salaries, as sometimes people will think. They come in two forms. The first form is what we call conditional grants. Those one, they target specifically infrastructure provision. So you cannot use that fund to divert it for salaries or operational. Equitable share components, they deal with operational grant. So it can be correct even for that municipality in Northwest that the only form of grant that comes is for salaries. There is funds even for dealing with infrastructure, and equitable share also helps the municipality largely to respond to what we call dealing with people that must benefit from the social basket in the municipality. Me and you who receives the 6 kiloliters of water, that is free. Me and you who receives the 50 kilowatts or 100 kilowatts. My gogo who must receive a rebate on rates in the municipality, the collection of refuse that is subsidized through that money. So that money targets, in the main, a component significant to deal with the vulnerable in the municipality.
Dr. Fikeni, as we conclude, you've had this talk of coalitions and all that here in Gauteng. But there's also a possibility of a rerun. Have you ever thought about it?
Not immediately. A rerun is something that is not invoked because you are struggling to form coalitions. One, you are allowed to have a minority government, though it is vulnerable in many respects, and it could always face a vote of no confidence. It will struggle to pass budget. It will struggle to pass some of the bylaws. And you will certainly have coalitions. Rerun would create a precedent to say, because there is no clear winner, we will have a rerun. There are other electoral systems which normally eliminate smaller players until in a rerun you have a clear majority winner. We don't have that in South Africa, and as such, I don't think you will immediately have that. You do have a scenario, though, where some of the coalitions in some far-flung places may just keep on collapsing, disagreement, coalition partners turning against each other, and after that you may just have an administrator, and you are unlikely to have rerun merely because you do have weak governments.
What do you foresee happening in terms of coalitions? Who do you think will go with who?
I suspect EFF, from the signals of what it is giving, it may decide we do not want to go into bed with DA or ANC because this may harm our brand, and the differences were stated to our constituencies may actually be seen as us having betrayed that. So they may say, if you have a majority in a given municipality, we are willing to vote for the municipal candidate, the speaker you put in there and so forth, and we will then argue on a case by case on each program to say we'll support you on the programs we agree with, we will not support you on the programs we don't agree with. So in that case you will have some latitude where ANC might vote with the DA, EFF with the DA, and at times they may withdraw their support. But the better coalitions, it's where a big party comes very close to 50%, as in Eguruleni, wherein you will simply look for small parties to take you across.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. We wish you all the best with your inductions and getting to school all the newcomers in the local government sphere. And that was question time for today. Let's meet again tomorrow. Have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.